Hello everyone, welcome back from On Top of the Wall. And if you've been watching me for the last few days, you've probably noticed I've been on a little bit of an Enchantress kick. And you know, I just would like to say, that's not over yet. We're gonna keep doing that. Okay, so since I've been showing you all my different Enchantress decks that I've made over the past few days, I figured it was time that I show you the Enchantress deck that used to exist in Pauper before Theros Beyond Death. And this is actually one of the two that existed. There was one that was just a straightforward Prism deck that was entirely built around Curse of the Bloody Tome, getting this one enchantment and continuously just placing lockdown pieces on your opponent's creatures and just keeping all of their creatures on lock and winning the game by slowly milling them out. But this one is way better. This one is one that's actually built around Pestilence and Protective Sphere. Pestilence is actually the main win condition in this deck. And if you don't know what Pestilence does, let me do the honor of showing you what Pestilence does, telling you what Pestilence does. Pestilence is 2 black enchantment at the end of the turn. If there are no creatures in play, sacrifice Pestilence. No creatures on the battlefield, at the end of the turn, sacrifice it. It's gone. But paying 1 black mana, dealing 1 damage to each creature and each player is actually not as bad as you would think if you haven't played Pestilence before. It actually isn't just doing that one time. You can do it 1 time for each black mana that you can produce. So you can end up just shooting everything on the board for tons and tons and tons of damage. And with various cards, you can end up making this effect asymmetrical. Not only pinging their creatures, but pinging their face. We're trying to make it so that way it only ever does 1 damage. It only ever costs us 1 life, and it will end up pinging our opponent for all of this damage. Sphere of Resistance comes in, and what it does is it's 2 and a white, pay 1 life, prevent all damage that we've dealt to you this turn by a source of the color of your choice that shares a color with the mana spent on its activation cost. Paying the 1, pay the 1 life, prevent all damage that we dealt to us from black sources this turn. So we only lose 1 life when we start shooting everything up every turn repeatedly with Pestilence out. There's also other things that we can do to make this asymmetrical. We also have Quiet Disrepair, a removal enchantment card. Costs the same as a Naturalize, but it's an aura. You equip it to an artifact or enchantment. Attach it to an artifact or enchantment, I mean to say. And you can either, at the beginning of your upkeep, destroy that permanent or gain 2 life. We kind of would like to gain that 2 life most of the time. Not only to help mitigate the damage from Pestilence, but to help mitigate the damage from not having any creatures to block and preventing our opponent from hitting us in the face. There's also Recumbent Bliss, which is a pacifism, but it also gains us 1 life at the beginning of our upkeep. Now I think I should really probably start getting into some of our Prism pieces here. Along with Recumbent Bliss, we have 2 Oblivion Ring, 1 way to lock out any permanent out of the game, imprison 1 permanent non-land, Journey to Nowhere, 3 of. For 2 mana, it's actually kind of like the Path to Exile in Pauper, or the Swords to Plowshares in Pauper. It has its ups and its downs. It's the best that we got right now, unfortunately. We have 2 Hobble, a way to draw us a card and prevent a creature from attacking us. The big one is that it can't attack us. That's the important part. Faith's Fetters is a pacifism, but it also prevents a creature from using its activated abilities, as long as they're not mana abilities, and we gain 4 life. A way to help catch us up in some life that a creature might have done us earlier in the game, and then lock down a creature. Kurtar's Desire. I actually really like this card, and I think it's one of the better ones in Pauper as far as Prism pieces go, because for 1 white mana, you can prevent a creature from attacking, and then when it comes time to keep creatures from blocking, you usually would have Threshold to keep them from blocking. But remember, we're not a creature deck, so we don't really care about the not blocking part. To us, just 1 white mana stops something from attacking us forever. Seems good. Seems fine. Our last lockout piece is Lignify. Lignify makes something a 0/4 tree folk with no abilities. And there's no on-attack triggers. There's no anything from that creature anymore. It doesn't have any tap abilities anymore. It's just a 0/4. And that's great because with Pestilence, having a 0/4 means we can activate this thing 3 times without any chance of losing it. Because something will still be alive that's not a threat to us that we can just keep pinging every single turn for just 3, 3, 3. As long as we leave that alive, our Pestilence will still be there. Some of our value cards in the deck that help us keep all this together and all this, let's be frank, jankiness together. As much as I love it, it's janky. We have Crufix's Insight, a potential 3-for-1. It's not always a 3-for-1, but the chances of us getting a 3-for-1 are usually relatively high because we are at 31 enchantments, which means we're likely to get just over 3 enchantments out of our top 6. And luckily for us, revealing those top 6, putting up to 3 in our hands. If we have typically about 3, that means we get about 3 every time for 3 mana, and putting the rest into our graveyard. Heliod's Pilgrim is kind of like a Trinket Mage, if you've ever seen a Trinket Mage before. Great card. For 3 mana, you get a 1/2, no other abilities. Oh, but wait, except it does get us an aura card from our deck, which could be that sweet Lignify. It could be the nice Hobble, another 2-for-1. So it's a 2-for-1 that leads into another 2-for-1, making it a 3-for-1. Or getting that Faith's Fetters for turn 4 after dropping this on turn 3. Turn 4 Faith's Fetters is not bad. It's pretty good. I like it. Or a Quiet Disrepair to start getting us some life again. Recombinant Bliss for pacifism and a little bit of life gain. Or maybe we want just a little bit of ramp. Perfectly segueing us into our mana base. We have 4 Abundant Growth. And we have 4 Trace of Abundance. Trace of Abundance is a card that gives a land Shroud, which is useful against the land destruction matchups. So I included more of these than our usual. But keep in mind, we normally have more than enough fixing to easily have Trace of Abundance. So I didn't feel like there was a reason not to have it. And it allows the land that it is enchanting to be tapped. And then when it is tapped, it produces 1 additional mana of any color for us. So it's a good fixer. It allows us to easily go right into that nice 5-color sideboard. And our 4 Abundant Growth is a nice way to quickly fix our mana base and draw a card. For the actual lands, though, we have 4 of each of the Abzan duels, 2 plains, 7 forest. More forest than plains. We've got to have more green sources. That way we can get turn 1 Abundant Growth or turn 2 Trace of Abundance. You know, really just making sure that we definitely have early access to some of these fixers, and then following up with our white prism pieces, which is what we want. For the sideboard, we have a little bit of a transitional sideboard. We have Curse of the Bloody Tome for an alternate win condition. The 4 Aura Gnarls were just something that is typically played in Enchantress in this particular version of it before, pre-Theros Beyond Death. This was one of them that actually was something that I kind of appreciate on some level, even though that's really janky. It is a 3-mana creature, 2/2. But it gets +1/+1 for each aura, so all of these nice, delicious auras really end up powering it up, and it can become this huge, nice 12/12 for 3 mana. A little bit bigger than Goyf, always appreciated. Nice turn 10, 12/12 for 3 mana, right on time. It also has some evasion for it because it gets so big. Anything that is smaller than it just can't block it outright. We got 3 Castigates. It's kind of like a Duress, but it exiles the card, and it can hit any non-land card. So a little bit better, but can be a little bit slower. Thankfully, we have plenty of fixing to make sure that we can always have it. We have 1 Dispel for some of the control matchups, or burn, or a little bit just for burn. We have Negate for some Tron. We have Pestilence as an additional Wrath spell. Keep in mind, Pestilence is one of the only Wrath spells in Pauper that exists. It's one of the few that is actually played out of the few that exist. We have 3 Relics for the graveyard matchups, and you're going to want to probably side in all of these for the Tron matchup, because some Tron builds are very reliant on their graveyard, particularly 5-color Tron, which likes to do this annoying flicker combo with Ghostly Flicker and Wall of a Mnemonic Wall to return it to their hand. So having the Relic of Progenitus to pop it off and hopefully exile the Ghostly Flicker that they have is not such a bad idea. It does stop them from getting tons of value with Flicker, Maul Drifter, and all this nonsense. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed me reviewing an older deck, and if you'd like to see me review any of the older decks, or if you'd like to see me make any particular crazy jank thing in Pauper or in any other format, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this with somebody who might appreciate it, and come in for that face touch.